The Tenant is a short story about a young man in his early 20s that finds himself homeless and living on the streets. He longs for a place to call his own, but he has no family, and his financial situation is dire. One evening, while wandering a beautiful tree-lined street, he comes across an open house for sale. With the realtor busy and no one else around to ask, he decides to step inside for a closer look. As he walks around, he realizes that the house is in perfect condition. He actually feels at home, and for the very first time, he experiences an unfamiliar solace. This was a brand new feeling never experienced in the other houses, and he liked it. In a moment of impulse, he made a decision. He decides to stay there, secretly, hidden from the world. Weeks go by and he knows the house will eventually sell, so he had to make a plan if he wanted to stay there. Building a hidden room in the enormous attic with the additional wood, supplies, and ducting the previous owners left behind, he successfully and impressively built a room in the far corner of the attic, disguising it as a mere wall. He lived there for several months, unnoticed by the realtor and random open house guests. By Christmas, a young family had purchased the home. He quietly and carefully continued to live there, unbeknownst to the family. Over the years, he observes and silently celebrated the milestones, holidays, celebrations, and hardships of the family he's grown to love. The family goes through various ups and downs in their life, but the silent tenant in the attic is always there and silently cheering them on in his own way. When the man becomes ill, he faces the dilemma of leaving the house and risking being discovered or staying hidden and risking his life. And now, without further ado, we give you The Tenant. People walk right past me, purposefully looking the other way, as if I am invisible. Am I invisible? I might as well be. Occasionally, someone will make eye contact with me, then shake their head in judgment. If only they knew. If just one person asked, I would tell them my story. It's a sad story, but I did try to make the best of every day. I wasn't always invisible, you know. It happened the year I turned 6. His memory flashed back to when he was 4 years old. His mum was smiling, holding her arms out wide as he ran as fast as he could and hurled himself into them while she spun him around in the air, both laughing hysterically. His face frowned as an image of his father surfaced. In his stained white tank top and baggy jeans with holes in them, always barefoot and always holding a glass of whiskey, the more he drank, the meaner he got. Then, Mom got sick. Cancer. She passed away just after my 6th birthday and I was left with him. You see, to my father, I barely existed. Food and clothes were minimal. Oh, he knew I was there. But I tried my hardest to stay away. I took beatings from him when he drank, which was all the time. It just became a part of life. My meals would be whatever was left over on his plate, if there was anything. My saving grace was all of the fruit trees in our yard. My diet consisted mostly of that. Then there was school. I loved school. It was the only place I could have a complete and warm meal. My teachers were nice to me. With my father, birthdays, Christmas, Easter, or any holiday for that matter, just ceased to exist. By the time I was 17, he had managed to ruin away everything we had. He owed a lot of people a lot of money and it eventually caught up with him. One day, they came for him. Who is they, you ask? Well, I have no idea. Probably a loan shark. Drug dealer, maybe. Your guess is as good as mine, but I saw it all. I watched them take him right from our front yard. He was out there fixing his motorcycle. A black car pulled up and 2 men approached him. They grabbed him and he tried to fight, but they forced him into the car and I watched them drive away. I haven't seen him since. I can only guess what happened to him, and to be frank, I don't care. So there it is. I was 16 years old when they took him. But don't feel sorry for me. I was used to taking care of myself. It was actually easier with him gone. No more walking on eggshells. Oh, I continued to live in the house. I got a part-time job down at McGillen's grocery store, bagging groceries and doing deliveries. Between my paycheck and tips, I was able to pay the utilities. I couldn't make the house payment, though. And after a couple of months, the bank started mailing late payment notices on the mortgage. Still, nothing happened for at least a year and a half. When the official foreclosure notice came, I knew my time there was done. There was a vacant house for sale down the street. The owners lived out of state and they hired me to keep an eye on their house, forward any mail, and keep the landscaping presentable. Moving in there was easy. The only thing I kept from my old house was a picture of me and my mum on our last trip to the beach before she died. In regards to my dad, I didn't tell anyone what I saw. I didn't call the police. These guys did me a favour, actually. After he was gone, everything was easier. Being raised without any parental guidance did teach me one thing: independence. From a very young age, I've had to learn how to do everything myself. But because of that, I'm an 18-year-old that can cook, build, sew, draw and paint. I've mastered electrical, plumbing, and even know how to fix a refrigerator. I can rebuild your motor and rotate your tyres. I even managed to get my high school diploma. I've done pretty good for myself despite everything. I've managed to stay far away from drinking and drugs. I promised myself I would never be like him. I keep to myself, work hard, and I always look for opportunities. My goal is to be an artist, get married and have a family. Wife, kids, animals, and a nice house in a nice neighbourhood. These simple things would make my life complete. That's what finds me here today. The house on Maple Street. I saw the moving van leave. I kept my eye on the house for a couple days just to make sure they weren't returning. Sure enough, up went a for sale sign. Within a week, they held an open house. The tree-lined driveway and two-story white house looked like something in a magazine. While the realtor was busy with loogie-loos, I slipped around to the back. Entering through the back door, I found myself in the laundry room which opened up to the massive kitchen. So this is what it's like to be rich. There was a huge island in the middle with 5 bar stools under it. The floors were dark wood. It smelled like it was just painted. I flipped the light switch and the light went on. Oh good, they haven't turned the electricity off yet. He wandered to the huge 3-car garage. There was an apartment above it. There was a lot of building supplies left from the previous owners, even a toolbox. Looks like they left in a hurry. He went back into the house. Magnificent. He decided then and there that he would stay in this house for a while. And that he did. The end of summer was hot, and he was thankful the house had ceiling fans. He was also thankful for the long driveway, as he could always hear the realtor driving up, which gave him plenty of time to vacate the premises or tuck away out of sight. I keep this house clean, as I did the other houses. But something about this house was different. The other houses I lived in, I left without a second thought. But this house, I actually loved this house, and for the first time, I didn't want to leave. One morning I was up in the attic hiding out of sight, when I heard someone making an extremely low offer. A sense of panic came over me. I couldn't leave now. I had to stay. I could easily stay hidden. This house is huge. I've managed to stay hidden this whole time. Even the inspector didn't see me. But I'd need a plan. I couldn't stay in the apartment above the garage. They would notice. So I used the leftover supplies in the garage and built a secret room in attic. It was easy because the attic spanned the entire length of the house. I simply put a wall up, and nobody realizes it's another room. They just think the attic stops there. Quite impressive, really. Then by the time the Hughes family bought the house at Christmas time, my room was complete and impressively hidden. The Hughes were good people. Ben, the dad, was a pastor. The mum, Lily, was a nurse, and they had 2 kids. Andrew and Ali, who were in 1st and 2nd grade, around the same age as when I lost my mum. He could hear their conversations and laughter. He witnessed all of it, fights and tragedies, victories and successes. Year after year, he quietly celebrated each birthday, singing along quietly under his breath. Christmas was his favourite time. Occasionally, the family got so close in proximity to him as they were gathering decorations from the attic that he actually felt a part of the festivities. Often, he would be a silent help, cleaning while they were gone, watering the plants that never got watered, playing catch with the dogs. He even thwarted off a few guys who tried to break in when everyone was gone. He protected this house and this family. He cried when he heard that Ali had hit her first home run. She practiced so much, hitting a softball into a net for hours on end. He was giddy when Andrew made the high school basketball team. He practiced a lifetime of driveway hoops to get there. He worried when Ali went on her first date and watched protectively as the boy dropped her off. His name was William. He prayed when Ben and Lily would argue, though they were nothing like the fights his parents had. Ben would never hurt Lily. The day Andrew went to college was one of the proudest days of his life. He remembered when Andy started high school, he struggled in math. For me, math was so easy. But seeing Andy struggle made him concerned. Ben and Lily weren't that great at math either. They tried to help where they could, but sometimes it made things worse. So, on nights when there was algebra or any math homework for that matter, he would jump into action. He chuckled at the memory. When everyone was asleep, he'd go downstairs and check Andy's homework, and more often than not, had to make some corrections. When I saw Andrew's report card depicting an B in algebra, I smiled confidently. Ali ended up marrying the very guy I watched take her on her first date. His name was William. He was good to her. They dated for 8 years off and on before he finally proposed. They had the wedding in the backyard and I got to see everything. I know she wasn't my daughter, but I loved her like one. I called her my little alley cat because she was fierce, sassy, and super smart. I was even there for Ben's first heart attack. He was alone in the house and I heard him fall down the stairs. Nobody else was home. Looking through the vent, I could see him lying at the bottom of the stairs, holding his chest. I had to make myself seen. He was going to die. I ran down and Ben was already unconscious. I called 911 and started pushing on his chest. As soon as the ambulance was arriving, I opened the front door, went back up and watched from the vent. They did CPR on him and rushed him immediately to the hospital. Thankfully, he survived. When he came home from the hospital, I heard him tell Lily that the doctor told him that if they would have arrived 5 minutes later, he wouldn't have made it. It was a mystery to them how he was saved from death, but they thanked God every day for it. It just all worked out for good. I remained unknown and Ben was saved. I documented so many great things over the years. Memories fill my many journals. One day I wanted to write a novel. This would make a great story. Then I got sick. Seemed like the stomach flu. Nausea, vomiting, and abdominal pain are torture when you are trying to remain hidden. It was raining hard when Ben and Lily went to visit some friends, and I was in the living room playing with their bulldog when I felt an intense pain in my stomach. I'd never had a pain like this before. It took me to my knees. I went to the medicine cabinet where Lily keeps the antacids and I ate a couple. I put a couple more in my pocket just in case. The pain continued to get worse, and over the span of a couple days, I couldn't even move anymore. I was laying on my floor next to my mattress. Sweat poured from my head as the fever grew higher. And do you know what? The view of my room from the floor is actually quite amazing. I felt at peace. I looked around, admiring my handiwork from over 2 decades ago. The minimal things in it were all second-hand. I didn't steal any of it, if that's what you're thinking. In fact, everything in there was bought at thrift stores. A couple of items he took out of their trash, like Lily's coffee mug that said nurse on it. Shoes and clothes no longer worn by Ben. Books, magazines, even an old bookcase they put on the curb. It all became his. These are my precious possessions, all I have in the world. He had a wall of Ali and Andrew's artwork over the years that made their way to the trash. He even managed to fix an old broke frame that Lily threw away. It was the perfect size to hold his only picture he had left of him and his mum. As his fever grew higher, his memories grew more and more vivid. Memories of his childhood, his mum, and his 6th and last birthday party. He remembered seeing Santa for the first time and being terrified to sit on his lap. He remembered the look in his dad's eyes as he was taken away in the black car. Then all the memories of the Hughes family emerged front and centre. Game nights, Halloween parties, Christmas mornings. The house smelling like gingerbread, and he even tasted some cookies when they left. He smiled as the memory of himself wrapping 4 Christmas presents each year, one for Ben, one for Lily, one for Andrew, and one for Ali, all marked from Santa, Each year nobody knew who put them under the tree. I didn't have much to give them, except for my art. One year I made bookmarks and put them in each stocking. One year I painted a portrait of their dog, Bubba, after he passed away. Ali kept it on the wall in her room, and they moved it to the den when she moved out. It's hanging on the wall right next to the portrait I did of Nellie the cat. I loved hearing them try to figure out which one of them four painted it. They all accused each other of having a secret talent. I always got the biggest kick out of that. The pain got so intense, I thought I was going to scream. But I couldn't move. I was too weak. Then the room started getting bright. I reached for my journal and started writing what would be my last words. I was fading, and I knew it. I thanked the family for making my last 24 years amazing. I thanked Ali for teaching me to dance and to dream big. I thanked Andrew for teaching me to sing and teaching me to forgive. I thanked Ben for his beautiful prayers he would eloquently say when he thought only God was listening. I thanked Lily for showing me what a real Christmas and a real birthday looked like. I thanked the Hughes for their love for each other and their kindness to humanity. As my eyes drifted closed, I felt a warmth and I couldn't help but smile. Part 2. As Ben and Lily entered the front door, Ben set down his luggage and leaned up against the wall. 2 weeks in Hawaii was just what they needed. Lily fanned herself as she commented how hot it was in there. And what was that smell? Ben reached his hand up to the vent to see if air was coming out, and noticed a stain on the ceiling in the corner of the living room next to the fireplace. It was dark in appearance. Well, I think I know where the smell is coming from. Thinking it was a dead raccoon or possum, he went and grabbed a trash bag and some gloves. He walked up the stairs to the attic, looked around and came back down. There's nothing up there. They both went up with a flashlight, and just like he said, there was nothing up there. They called an exterminator, and the secret room was found during that inspection. After the coroner and the last fire engine left, they sat there, in a daze. Who was that? How long was he there? Fear and anger filled Lily, but Ben remained at peace. They checked into a hotel while the house was being cleaned. A company came in and cleaned the stains, repaired the ceiling and got rid of the smell. All of the hidden gentleman's belongings remained untouched at Ben's request. Something in his heart was drawing him up there, to find out why this person was up there. Strangely, he didn't feel the fear or anger his wife was experiencing. Once they moved back in, Ben waited until he was alone. He walked up to the attic and over to the secret room. What he saw was more than a room, though. He saw a time capsule. As he looked around, he was in awe. His old college t-shirt. I threw this away at least 20 years ago. How long have you been up here? Drawings from when Ali was little, poems she wrote and threw away, but they had been carefully straightened, but still with visible folds from being wadded up. He kept all this, my old running shoes, my old sweatshirt, our old bookcase, one of Andrew's scripts from a play he was in, my old shaver, all kept in pristine condition, Lily's nurse mug. He glued the handle back on. But Ben's heart dropped when he looked in the corner under the window. Wrapping paper. Christmas wrapping paper. You are the one who gave us presents year after year. From Santa. You were our secret Santa. You painted the beautiful pictures. Then, Ben found the journals. He spent the next 6 hours reading journal after journal. When Lily got home, he met her at the door. You have to see something incredible. Together, Ben and Lily read the journals out loud. They cried. They laughed. Ben looked up with tears in his eyes. He saved my life. He's the one that called 911 that day. As Lily read, she was in awe. He caught people trying to break in. He sewed Ali's teddy bear. She looked up at him. I thought you did that. Ben giggled. I thought you did that. He found Bubba when he got loose during the fireworks. He fixed the shed door. He secured the treehouse ladder. He fixed our garage door opener, and he's the one that kept the plants alive. Story after story they read aloud, gratitude growing for their guardian angel. Lily got up and called the kids. They needed to see this. The next morning there they were, all four still in the hidden room reminiscing the past, realising that Zachary Allen Patterson, or Zap as his mum called him, was part of their family. Even their animals throughout the years knew and loved him, and from what he wrote he loved them too. He's the one that taught Soku how to sit up. Ali read out loud from one of the journals. I thought Andrew did that. I thought Dad did that. They all laughed. I have a feeling we are going to be saying this a lot from now on. They realised that he had always been a part of their life, silently watching over them, sharing their pain and joy. Then, Andy had an idea. Dad, let's give him a proper goodbye. After all, we were his only family. Yes, let's do just that. After a couple of emails and Ben's announcement at church, the whole community came together to pay tribute to Zap. The family shared his journals, and folks from all over read them and marvelled at the life of this individual. I think the biggest lesson we took from this is the realisation that he was a part of their family. He was their guardian angel. Ben was thankful that they could give Zap a peaceful burial and beautiful tribute. Ben took all of Zap's artwork, pieces he's done over the years, and neatly tucked away. His walls were covered with brilliant paintings of homeless on the streets, landscapes, and pictures of the family throughout the years. The work he did took Ben's breath away. He added an art gallery to the church, and Ben displays all of Zap's art. The plaque outside the gallery reads, "In memory of Zachary Allen Peterson, aka Zap, who appreciated life despite his hardships. He took joy in the little things that made life worth living. He was a protector, an admirer, an angel. His gift for art will live on." Next to the plaque was the picture of him and his mother. Sometimes, the most profound impact in our lives comes from the people we never get to meet. The end.